The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass Amherst School of Public Policy, offering in-person and online graduate programs in public policy and data analytics. Admissions now open at umass.edu/SPP.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, word nerd Emily Brewster, senior editor at Merriam-Webster, explores the phonological thin line between seat and seed and the eggcorn that binds them.
Plus, an experimental theater project sees its second iteration as we speak with lead professor Dame Judy Dentures and the production team performing Acting Class 2 Fast, Too Furious.
But we begin in East Longmeadow, where microgreens and agriculture reclamation are all happening on one woman's farm. I thought we might have been sold a bill of goods, that we were coming to a farm called Dusty Goat Farm, but that you would be mostly growing microgreens here. But lo and behold, there's the goats.
Yeah, that's Peach and Rue.
Oh, their goat habitat is spectacular. They have a house that's nicer than my house. It's like it's like almost like a gingerbread housey, mystical dollhouse. Yeah.
Which awesome. One I guess they grew out of right behind?
No, that's actually a chicken coop that I found that just happens to match it.
Oh, perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we're in East Longmeadow at Dusty Goat Farm with Erin Sewell, who's the farmer, and Claire Morneau from CISA, the local hero folks. Now it makes sense that you're called Dusty Goat Farm because there's these old dusty goats.
Yeah.
But that is not what you're famous for farming. What is it that you're growing here mostly?
Microgreens and microherbs.
Where does the dust come from?
When Peach and her sister, who is no longer with us, was new, I came out here and there used to be a truck parked right in front. So when I came out the back door, I see this big cloud of, I thought it was smoke, so I rush over there and it's Peach and she's squirming around and doing a dust bath, and then she gets up and she shakes and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I was like, that's perfect. If I ever have a farm, which happened the next year, that's what I'm gonna name it.
And how it happened is kind of interesting. So we're in what feels like a residential neighborhood in East Longmeadow, although we've learned from you that there's other farms that are secretly here, and we drove by the East Longmeadow Community Garden, but this was a pandemic era decision that you made, right, Erin?
Yes, yep. I was actually managing a construction company locally, and I got laid off in July. And by August, I was thinking that I should probably start growing vegetables for my family, and I, seeing as I was suffering from late-stage Lyme disease and all that kind of stuff, and it was taking a heavy toll on my health. So I knew going to the grocery store on a regular basis was not going to be an option for me. So I started growing microgreens in trays, thinking, okay, we can eat all this, and I'm making 3 trays a week, and by the time I see how big it gets, I'm like, oh God, I'm not going to be able to eat all this. I'm going to have to start sharing it with people, and that's exactly what I did, and people were like, I will pay you if you can make more of this. So I just started ordering seeds, and by the following January, I was at the farmer's market in Northampton.
What sort of scale are you on now? Like how many pounds or however you measure it are you producing?
Well, right now I'm probably up to 45 trays at the moment because I stopped doing farmer's markets and I wanted to focus more on retail and restaurants for now. So in the next few weeks, I'm hoping to hear from Big Y when I can deliver my first orders to them in 5 different stores around here. Then I do some home deliveries, 10 of them a week or so. You know, I have a handful of restaurants that I do, a few downtown Springfield. Every week I bring them a pound of basic salad mix and see you next week, you know.
And this is you delivering, like it's not like you're not going through a service like Marty's or something like that where somebody's coming and picking it up. It's just you driving around.
Talk about microgreens. So if people have heard of it maybe or aren't familiar with it, what separates a microgreen from a regular salad green, or what are the benefits?
Well, you can actually compare microgreens to sprouts first. So sprouts, as a lot of people know, they're grown in water. There are some complications because of the water aspect, so it's a little iffy, but as you know, the nutrients are in the seed, so sprouts are very healthy. They're kind of like sprouts except that they're grown in soil and they get a source of light for roughly about between 4 and 7 days, which starts the photosynthesis process. And that makes the nutrients much more bioavailable to your body to be able to use them more, cellular repair and stuff like that. Broccoli, kale are going to be your most nutritious. Broccoli also has like its own little ecosystem. It's incredibly intuitive for a little tiny vegetable. You have all the nutrients packed in those little packages. So if you're eating an ounce of broccoli, you're getting between, they say, 4 and 40 times more nutrients per ounce in that 1 ounce than you would get in an ounce of broccoli. 4 and 40 times more.
Because it's in microgreen form?
Yeah.
Eat the babies.
Yeah. I know. I didn't want to say it, but it seems like the thing to do.
Because all the nutrients are in the seed, you're able to, if you can capture it in a smaller package, then you get all those just kind of condensed. It's like a little superfood.
And do they look like little broccolis?
If you put a broccoli seed in the ground and you let it grow for 2 weeks, the little tiny leaves on top, they're called cotyledons. They're so cute. And it's before the true leaf, the leaf that you're going to see on the big plant.
So you're not eating like what looks like a broccoli tree. You're eating what looks like a broccoli leaf.
Yes. And actually, if you eat it when it looks a little bit more like broccoli, it's going to start being more bitter as it gets older.
Mm-hmm. Just like all of us.
Eat the babies. Where are you growing the microgreens? Because I see a plot behind.
Yep.
But that can't be. Those are too tall.
All of the microgreens are grown in the basement, and I can bring you guys there. That's actually 10,000 cloves of garlic planted by Evan at Nightjar Farm in Chicopee.
Oh, yeah, nice. You're using your land to help other farmers who are doing sort of the urban farming thing too?
Yeah, and he does the garlic fest. So him and a few other farmers, they like just plant as much garlic as possible. And I wasn't going to use it this winter, so I said, sure, do it.
That's great. And then you have this, before we go check out the microgreens, you have this white trailer over here that you're growing fun things in too.
I can show it to you.
Yes.
I don't have anything growing in it right now because I had to do a little bit of repair, painting. By the time I got all that done, there was like 5 feet of snow on the ground. So I was like, I'm not going back there until the springtime.
So it's this giant white trailer.
And we're actually having a paint party. I have 3 local artists who are coming, Camille St. Gabriel, Nick King, and Courtney Frobel. They're going to paint the outside for me.
Are they going to put a mural on it or just paint it?
Yep.
So we're in what looks like a Breaking Bad meth lab.
You're goddamn right.
But I'm hoping it's not.
I mean, it looks like more like mushrooms slash
Ding.
hydroponics.
This is where you're growing mushrooms, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Gourmet mushrooms. Yes. I have a little bit more to learn first. I bought this trailer from Michael at Grown Up Farm.
Yeah.
And it was all outfitted and stuff, but we have some learning before we start.
Well, that's good. Something to look forward to.
Exactly.
We're at Dusty Goat Farm in East Longmeadow with Erin Sewell, who started out this farm during COVID. Was there anything here in this residential neighborhood that was farmy, or did you bring all the farmy things to it? In this yard in particular?
Yeah, no, I mean, all of this stuff, this was just a residential house. I don't even think they used the second acre for anything except for like bonfires. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You
were saying before that you had Lyme disease, and you have tried to eat your way into better health using the microgreens. Can you talk a little bit about that?
The microgreens are a huge part of my recovery just because they're superfoods, essentially. They're like little ninjas, and they've really helped me bounce back. They've made it to where the medicine absorbs. I take a lot of antibiotics and anti-malarial, stuff like that for my illnesses, so it just helps with absorption. You guys like dogs?
Yeah. Look at you guys.
I have another dog over here. She might bark.
So we're in your living room, and there's a poster on the wall, artwork, that says, "You are what you eat, and your vegetables are what they eat, and soil is what it eats," and it gets kind of complicated after that, but this sort of thing goes on and on forever. You are everything, take care. I love
That's
that.
actually by a local artist at the Northampton Market. He carves them out of like big stamps.
Oh, like woodblock press?
Yeah,
nice.
Very cool. This is where my friend does sound healing in here.
What's sound healing?
Steph?
Yeah.
Oh.
You want to explain sound healing?
You're on the radio, if nobody told you.
Tell them about sound. Max.
Oh, this is my protected dog. She's very nice.
That's part of the sound healing,
Yeah,
the
I'm
barking.
not sure how we're gonna mix her in.
What's your name?
Not very relaxing. Steph Rondinelli.
You do sound healing here inside on this tiny, like, residential farm.
Yes, I do. We have a lot of plans to incorporate sound healing with Erin's microgreens and make this kind of a wellness area. But
What's something we can look at or listen to for sound healing if,
well, let me come in here.
Since radio is a sound medium.
Yeah, maybe we can put some sound healing on the radio. Better than the leaf blowers that were outside.
Known each other since 5th grade.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we're fellow musicians. We're in a band together. We have a jam room that we jam on Saturday nights.
What's the name of your band?
Lady Band.
I like it.
So it's just 3 of us. There's another person here who I've known since kindergarten. Buck. She's a local comedian. So we have people here all the time working on getting this place going.
Are these singing bowls?
Yes, these are quartz frosted crystal singing bowls. The way sound healing works, so when I strike this bowl, the frequency in the bowl is going to play. Whatever we're applying it to, like a person, the cells in their body are going to vibrate to match the frequency that I'm applying to it.
It's like how my cycle matches up.
Yeah. So I either strike it or I can rub the side of it. So these are, I don't know how crazy you want me to get into this. I could get very crazy to do it. So I have all of the notes in the C scale that I like to do sound baths with. I can sing along to it, I can chant to it, I can add other tools. I have tuning forks. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna do it here, but I also do like mobile service too.
Sounds so relaxing. Thanks for showing us your singing bowl.
It was nice to meet everyone.
We're going to go down here. I'll hold these guys back. You
All
go
right,
down.
we'll go downstairs. Now going where the microgreens are growing here at Dusty Goat Farm in a residential home in a residential neighborhood in East Longmeadow. Okay, now then there's this little tiny hydroponic grow light room in here.
It's not hydroponic, right?
Oh,
It's
no,
soil.
it's not?
They're in soil.
Oh yeah, right. But what kind of lights are these?
These are LED T5s.
And that's enough light for them to want to
Yeah,
grow.
it's perfect.
What are these super vibrant, bright red?
Those are beets.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
And they're beet microgreens, so you'd eat them before they turned, like rooted and turned into the root vegetable.
Exactly.
And do you get the same nutritional benefits plus from
Yes,
that you would have
you
got
definitely
beets?
get more because the nutrients aren't as spread out as they would be in a normal sized beet. Those are cantaloupe right there if you want to snap one up.
That's so cool.
Oh yeah, you can kind of taste the cantaloupe.
You can taste the cantaloupe.
in the tiny, it's literally like a little tiny sprouty looking microgreen, and you can see how this will someday be cantaloupe.
You can taste how it will be cantaloupe.
Yes, exactly.
So what are the conditions you have to maintain for this operation?
So I like to keep it right around between 70 and 75, but the most important is the humidity. So it's got to be below 50. Hopefully I'll be getting a mini split system with a grant so that it's a little easier to maintain.
Why is the humidity important?
Because the stems are all clustered so together, it will keep a lot of moisture within those stems, and then that will create an unfortunately kind of a gross environment. And you get mold and, but I mean, a lot of the mold that comes in there, it doesn't go up the stem, so you can save maybe part of the tray if it's not close, but it can ruin whole trays.
When you decided you wanted to do this, you were saying you were running a construction company, got laid off, you've got Lyme disease, COVID is happening, you're trying to stay healthy and create a farm in the place where you live. How did you make that initial step? How did you get the resources to start a farm?
Well, at the time of the pandemic, I was actually still married to my kid's dad. He was making good money. I was making good money at the construction company that I was managing. And so we really just pooled what we had together. And a lot of these shelves I was finding on Marketplace. So, it was just piecing it all together. I had to buy the lights and the fans brand new, but a lot of it is, previously used.
But you're hoping for some grants to kind of expand what you're doing here at Dusty Goat, right?
Yes, I would love to find a grant that would help me with a watering automation in here and some air just to make it a little bit more consistent with the airflow and the temperature and stuff, so I don't have to keep watching it and adjusting.
Do people tend to ask for specific varieties based on the health benefits, or people looking for specific flavors? How do you choose what to grow? What are people looking for?
Our most popular is definitely the broccoli, and that is because of all of the additional things. Like I said, it's got like its own, almost like an ecosystem. That one's kale. It's actually, broccoli is right next to you a little further up.
And it doesn't look like broccoli, it looks like sprouts.
I can actually tell because of the color of the seeds. So the broccoli seeds are brown. The kale is like almost so dark it's black.
How many seeds are you growing are you getting per season? Because like if you're doing this, and I'm assuming you're only getting one crop per seed, you've got to refresh that then. Like how much seeds are you purchasing per season?
I buy them by at least 5 pounds at a time.
What?
So I have buckets of seeds I can show you, actually.
Leaving the microgreen climate-controlled room, back into the regular part of the basement.
So this
you
is
have just buckets of seeds.
buckets of seeds, yep. So I order, especially like the salad mix, I order probably every month and a half. I'll order. They're expensive too, and they've gone up significantly in the last probably 4 years, at least 150%.
What's
The
caused the
salad
spike,
mix.
do you know?
I don't know. I don't know if it's because a lot of the farms, it seems like the seed farms got bought up by bigger companies. I don't know why. My soil went up almost double as well.
Do you have a favorite? It seems like you're partial to broccoli. Are there other favorites?
I
that you
love
grow?
broccoli. I love the cantaloupe. I absolutely love the spicy salad mix that I make. It's a basic salad mix, which includes a few different blends of lettuce and red acre cabbage. I do a 2 blend of different radishes. I do purple rainbow radish and red stem radish. And then I do a spicy oriental mustard. People go crazy for it. It's my favorite. It is my absolute favorite. But I could eat a whole tray of radish if I didn't need it for something.
If you weren't trying to sell it and make a living.
You've got some really fun other things that I don't usually see sprouts of, like speckled pea. Like you see pea, but like it's not always the same. And then oat sprouts.
Yep. I actually use the oats it's a cat grass blend. It's oats, wheatgrass. The cats love it. And then I usually will grow like a little patch for my goats too. Yeah.
Oats for the goats.
Yep.
Raw is the way to go.
Raw is definitely the way to go. If you use it on hot food, put it right at the end, right before you eat it, because it will definitely wilt a little bit. And you really want that crisp newness with the greens. You really want to keep the integrity of it.
Did you grow up on farms?
Actually, no. My grandfather always had a really big garden, and people always came and got his vegetables because he always grew way more than we could eat. Even though I feel like I didn't really listen all that carefully, I remember a lot of what he said. When I started growing stuff, I was like, I need to sucker the tomatoes. I remember that, you know? So,
There's a sucker born every day.
Yes.
Only during tomato season.
So I kind of dedicate my farm to my grandfather. He was like, he was like my father figure growing up. He's a great
Maybe
guy.
he's the Dusty Goat.
Exactly.
Of Dusty Goat Farm.
There you go.
I don't know your grandfather well enough to say whether or not he'd approve of
My
that.
grandfather was a dusty old goat dude.
How about that gnarly old goat dude?
He'd laugh about it.
You said you are hoping to build a little farm stand here on your property, and right now you're mostly at retailers and restaurants, that sort of thing. What are your long-term plans and hopes?
I'm kind of hoping that I can talk somebody into creating another food hub around here that farmers can bring their stuff and sell. Maybe it would be a place where we could accept HIP. We can have buses going so that people can get picked up in different areas. And I'm actually hoping, I've been looking at Farm Truck. It's a grant to supply farmers with trucks that they can literally pack all of their produce in, and they just open it up and it's like a store right there. So that's actually my goal for next year when I have my greenhouse, my good new greenhouse that's not going to collapse on me. When I have that one up and I'm producing all of my big vegetables, that's really my plan. I want to fill all of the food deserts and just make it to where there are no issues. I want all of the farms that want to be involved in selling their stuff to be able to sell it. And I would love to create a place that would happen.
Speaking of gardening, resident wordster Emily Brewster plants a seed that may unseat your usage of the term deep-seated.
But first, we meet Patrick Madden and Ergyan Joshi, part of the creative team of performers building new theatrical encounters with drag in the show Acting Class Too Fast, Too Furious.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the Handle Factory Community Clay Studio in Shelburne Falls, hosting Molly Cantor and guests during the Asparagus Valley Pottery Trail April 25th and 26th. Asparagus Valley Pottery Trail.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, helping Western Mass families achieve greater energy independence through solar power, battery systems, and air source heat pumps. Northeast-solar.com.
My life be like.
The College of Community Knowledge Center for Unique New Theater is back in session, and after a faculty shakeup, Dame Judi Dentures is returning to the podium with a motley crew of local queer and trans lecturers ready to work that syllabus.
Acting class, Too Fast, Too Furious is part drag extravaganza, part theatrical masterclass, part group ritual, part clown riot, blending drag, commedia dell'arte, experimental performance, and deeply human silliness into an evening you won't soon forget, even if you try. Expected chaos, wisdom, and unexpected animals, sassy puppets, and the kind of absurdist joy that only a 1,200-year-old drag grandma and her disreputable colleagues can provide.
Dame Judi Dentures returns to the stage in acting class Too Fast, Too Furious, a new iteration of the Pay It Forward show that delighted audiences at City Space last November. Performances are Friday, April 17th, and Sunday, April 19th, in the Blue Room at Old Town Hall in East Hampton.
And with us to talk about the whole experience are Dame Judi Dentures herself, sometimes known as Patrick Madden, an actor, director, and experimental drag performance artist based in Western Mass, and co-producer of this whole affair, Ergyan Joshi. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. What an intro.
Quite something.
Well,
yeah.
what an event.
I know.
We didn't write the intro. We just stole it off of your press release. And if that wasn't enough to get you going, then hopefully the rest of this conversation will be.
Seriously, yes. I feel like this sells itself, but we're going to talk to you about this whole thing because especially the really interesting thing to me is what changes between like the first version and the second version. So talk about the first iteration.
It all started with a grant proposal for City Space's Pay It Forward program, and it was one of those where I saw it and it was due that night. And so I had to come up with an idea right then. And I had been developing this drag character, Dame Judi Dentures, and it was like, well, what if she taught an acting class? I already had this story for her that she was really old, so, she's taught all of the great actors ever. She's been around for 1,200 years. What if it's this immersive, interactive masterclass? And pitched it. City Space said yes. And then I just was struggling with the blank page. I was really
I better write a show.
I've done a solo show before, but it was ages ago, and I forgot. I'm like, well, God, what do I do? And so I just brought in a bunch of collaborators, a bunch of close friends, fellow drag artists, and we started basically writers' room sessions. We're just like, okay, it's a spoof acting masterclass. We want the audience to be students. We want it to be a fun drag show, but also meaningful with all this audience participation. Let's brainstorm. And we just had these writers' room sessions that were totally bananas and really fun, and sort of pieced this show together. And it was wonderful. It was, I think, something fresh. It was a show that people really walked out of saying, like, wow, like I haven't experienced that before.
Ergyan, tell us about round two, Too Furious.
Too Furious. So just to clarify, there aren't furries in the show, although that would have been fine. But there is a sloth, so that's where the fur comes in. So acting class 1 happened in November of 2025. It was irreverent and fun and joyous, and since then, the state of the world has continued to change. And in our personal creative lives, we've been really seeing the need for and the room for nonsense and play and whimsy. So we were meditating on this question of what do we have to offer as drag artists, as clowns, as people who have a nonsensical side to the current moment. And I wanted to offer this container and this space for people to come and enter into a state of play and into a state of not having to make sense of everything that's going on, while also still being in it. And that balance of like, we're not here just to entertain ourselves, but there's some discoveries to be made in play and in whimsy and in a clown.
If the first show was in November, you've turned around volume 2 in like 5 months. That is so short a period of time. That's incredibly impressive. A lot of size just happened.
Try more like 3 weeks. Like that's sort of.
No.
We're 5 months since the last one. 3 weeks since the birth of this one.
We've been at work for 5 months. Steadily.
We heard a little bit about the birth of Dame Judi Dentures, but Ergyan, are you performing as well as part of this?
I am.
Tell us what you'll be doing.
I am Dr. Mary Poppers, MA, MD, MDMA on the weekends. And I am chair of the Endowed Cunning Linguist Society. And we'll be teaching a masterclass on manifestation, because it's really important to be able to manifest, the future that we're looking for, and also in acting. Mary Poppers is a girl boss who is kind of frustrated with the acting schmacting of it all and feels very responsible about preparing her students for the real world and for real life. And so she offers this manifestation workshop.
Part of the fun of it has been sort of spoofing the academic setting. It's been really rife with opportunities. Like once we made this fictional college, which was an idea originally of one of our collaborators, Devi, just came up with this idea like, what if it's this college? And we just went with it. There's so many interdepartmental dynamics and tension between faculty and adjunct and tenure.
So all the faculty that are listening to this show right now.
This faculty shakeup that happened at the end of the last show.
Yes.
Because you allude to it in the beginning of this press release.
Yeah, I can't say a word. It had more to do with performer availability, so we're just trying to create hype. Like there's been a shakeup.
And pay special attention to the names of these universities: the College of Community Knowledge and the Center for Unique New Theater.
We'll let you come up with the acronyms.
We're not going to spell it out for you.
Acting Class 2 Fast to Furious this Friday, as well as Sunday at City Space in East Hampton in the Blue Room, where our last 413 Day celebration was last year.
Indeed.
You have Dame Judi Dench is in a Tupperware right now. Can we get her out?
Yes, we can get her out. I knew it was a radio show, but
I made that noise.
There's something so visual.
So what you have for the listener is the under the eyes, nose, and front teeth of a mask. It feels very classic clowning.
Yeah, it's like a commedia mask.
Yeah,
Yes,
and less like drag, but is perfect to incorporate into the drag.
Absolutely, it's very well observed. This is a plaster mask, and it comes out of a specific commedia dell'arte tradition that I've trained in. So I'm an actor. I have a background in clown and commedia training, and this is a mask that I worked with in a commedia class, building, sort of old school commedia performance. And then I loved it so much that I had sort of a copy made of it by an amazing mask maker in New York City. And it's just uncanny. There's a top set of teeth that are the plaster mask, and then my actual bottom teeth move.
Yeah.
And it creates this uncanny, like, what is that? And so over the last year or so, I've been taking this work in clown and commedia, which is old-fashioned. It's more gendered. It's more traditional. And I've been sort of merging it into the world of drag and drag performance with this character of Dame Judi Dench. And it's been so fun to bring these two areas of my own artistry, the sort of messiness and irreverence and gender expansion of drag, with this sort of precision and tradition of the commedia performance, smashing those worlds together and seeing what happens.
That actually was almost going to be my next question, was like how clowning, and we're not talking like bozo red nose, like giant shoes clowning. We're talking about like the art of clowning itself, which is a little bit different. And drag, which I think are very similar arts, honestly, like the way that they treat gender, the way that they treat movement, the way that they play on stage and being larger than their bodies themselves. Talk about clowning as part of your drag persona.
For sure. Yeah, this idea of clown as making the absurd mundane and the mundane absurd, right, which drag also does in a different way. And the way we approach clown as a state of being in which we can play with what the audience is giving us and also bring what is familiar and unfamiliar. So some of the lessons in acting class part 2 are working with your inner fascist, right? not hiding away, not like pretending like we don't have it, but like you have an inner fascist. Work with that. Or working with telling a story with your body and really entering into that in a wholesome way. And just to zoom out a little bit again, coming back to this idea of what does it look like to access ways of being in the world that are unfamiliar and new and that require a little bit of something scary or strange or new to discover a part of ourselves that we didn't know.
More coming up with Dame Judi Dentures and Mary Poppins, MDMA, aka Patrick Madden, and Ergen Joshi, as we talk about their drag origins and the rest of the faculty for acting class Too Fast, Too Furious, opening at City Space in East Hampton this weekend.
After which, we'll explore our deep-seated loves with word nerd Emily Brewster.
Or is it deep-seeded?
Well, that is the crux of it, isn't it?
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
What first drew you to drag?
I was 17 years old in Cambodia at a drag bar. It was my first time in a queer bar and at a drag place, and there was this incredible performer who, of course, I don't remember now, but I saw her on stage and I was like, what you're doing is just so filled with life and with energy, and I want to be you when I grow up. And I have a picture from that first interaction with her. So that was my first experience of drag. I grew up in India where there is a big drag community now, but when I was growing up, it was sort of newer and more underground. And then since coming to the States and over the last few years working on theater that works with devising and with like people's lived experiences and this idea of playing with that and making it entertaining but retaining a nugget of truth and wisdom underneath it.
That's Ergen Joshi, a.k.a. Mary Poppers.
Doctor.
Don't
Poppers.
forget the doctor.
Yeah, don't forget that PhD.
What about you, Dame Judi Dentures? What drew you to drag initially?
My Aunt Debbie bought for me when I was very young, maybe 3. I'm told, I don't remember this even, but we were shopping, I guess, and I was really drawn to these purple high heels. And she bought them for me, and I loved them. I just, when I was little, enjoyed dressing up in heels and scarves and elegant garments, and my parents were supportive of this, and I would walk around the town where I grew up in these heels. So it was something early on, just like, oh, it feels so good to be a little taller and to let this feminine side out. You know, I didn't understand it then as drag. It was just like, oh, I love this stuff. And then, of course, society makes its way in, and I realized from friends' comments like, oh, that's, you know, it's weird to wear high heels. And then that went underground, you know, for a while. And then I sort of emerged back into it. In college, I started seeing drag shows. And a professor of mine who cast me in a show just sort of saw my work and was like, I want you to read for the women, Patrick. Like, you know, and just sort of sensed something and cast me as an evil stepmother, Fastrada, in a production of Pippin.
Oh, nice.
And it was so fabulous. I mean, it was just the makeup and the outfits and the sort of scale of myself that I was able to access by putting on some of these costumes was so thrilling to me. So I rediscovered drag by way of theater. And then I always felt like, oh, I'm an actor who loves drag, but I'm not a drag queen. I'd love to be a drag queen. And so it's not until really birthing this character of Dame Judi Dentures that I've stepped out into the world as a drag performer. It feels wonderful.
Talk about the other 2 faculty members that will join you for this masterclass that people have 2 opportunities to see in East Hampton this weekend.
With pleasure. One is an amazing local drag performer, drag creature named Cyclops, who is sort of a clown. Cyclops uses they and it pronouns, so in its own right, brought a sort of clowning. And the second performer is an incredible... Part of how this team came together is we all worked together on a production of Harvey Fierstein's Torch Song. It's a fun continuation of that ongoing collaboration, but Devi Badia is playing Jimmy Thomas, Professor Jimmy Thomas, the Sloth. And I don't want to say too much other than you just need to come to see the show to see what Debbie has cooked up. It's like nothing I've seen before. The chair of the department, who's on sabbatical, Chair Stan Key Pitt, son of Brad, may make an appearance as well. And then for the Sunday show, the president of the College of Community Knowledge, Blue Barrymore, an incredible drag queen from Springfield, here in Springfield, is going to make an appearance as the president just to check out what's going on in the Center for Unique New Theater. And we have a TA, Manly Monroe. These are some of the characters who populate this very fun, zany world.
Both of you have experience with theater traditions that are not like necessarily like American or American New School. How do those other traditions from like Bangladesh and India and Italy influence what you do on stage for this?
I studied Commedia dell'arte in a context of like learning stock characters. So it was really like each mask has a certain character and there are different lazzis, and it's all actually like the world of clowning is sort of improvisational and freeform, and then the world of commedia is actually quite precise. But at the same time, it's a very gendered world. And so bringing that work into my life as sort of a genderqueer maker of theater that tries to transgress, I take from that world like the precision, crafting bits and characters that are quite precise and have quite a large scale. But I let a lot of the other things sort of fall away.
For me, actually, most of my theater training and experience comes from working with my theater mentor here in the States, Iya Awatunde Judiella Al-Balali, who passed away recently. Her work was informed by theatrical jazz and working with theater and developing a way of doing theater for social transformation in post-apartheid South Africa. So my lineage comes more from that work. And theatrical jazz is a form of making theater that encapsulates tools of jazz around improvisation and presence and flow, and then also is informed by a relationship to the divine and to spirituality, and making theater in a room with people as a portal to the divine, and trusting whatever's coming up in the moment, and trusting that it's what needs to be expressed and it's what needs to be witnessed. And that comes into sort of everything I do. I don't think there's a delineation between my theater work and then my organizing work or my facilitation work, but that spirit of play and the body and the voice and text being these elements that, when voiced and received, create something else. And that creation of something else is the purpose of my time here. And so that's why this ensemble experience and the audience experience, the audience participation feels so right. We're not producing something for you to consume. We're becoming present with something, and we're asking you to come and bring whatever presence looks like for you on that day and experience and see what that does. We don't know. Maybe it's just a fun time. Maybe your mind is blown.
I love it. Acting class, Too Fast, Too Furious, a new iteration of the Pay It Forward show at City Space. And you can see it this weekend, Friday, April 17th at 7:30 and Sunday, April 19th at 4 in the Blue Room at Old Town Hall in East Hampton. And we have been speaking to Dame Judi Dentures herself, Patrick Madden, as well as Dr. Mary Poppers, Ergyan Joshi. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
The thing is, I know where this song comes in.
This is the Tokyo Drift song, even though I've never seen any Fast and Furious movies. Ever.
Find tickets to Acting Class Too Fast, Too Furious through the City Space website, cityspaceeasthampton.org. Thanks again to Patrick and Ergyan for coming to the studio, bringing the very striking Dame Judi Dentures mask with them, and chatting with us.
Now, to draw a phonetic and usage line between a phrase and its eggcorn with senior editor at Merriam-Webster, Emily Brewster.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Emily Brewster, resident wordster from Merriam-Webster. Our dictionary in Springfield, it is planting season. We talk to farmers every week, but now we're going to talk to a linguist about seeded.
Yeah, seeded. Specifically deep seeded.
Not a good way to plant.
Well, it depends on the plant. You got to do it with potatoes.
Deep seed them. I know trees, you don't want to choke them out by planting them too deep. You want to have them up where the bottom of the trunk is, like a little bit above.
Girding their loins.
Gird their loins and gild the lilies. But we're talking about deep-seated, Emily Brewster. What made you want to talk about deep-seated today?
Well, I have some bad news for you.
Uh-oh.
Deep-seated, as in deep-seated distrust, for example. That's a common collocation. It's not seed.
It's seat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is why I was chuckling, because I was imagining Oprah singing the C-Lab 2021 theme song in my brain, because that's what happens with music and lyrics in my brain.
I don't know what you're talking about.
If you're looking for me, you better check under the seat, because that is where you'll find me, because it's an underwater lap. Anyway.
What do they call these? They're not mondegreens, right? When somebody...
Eggcorns.
Eggcorns, yes.
Yeah.
Mondegreens is the lyrics.
Mondegreens are when they're lyrics, yes, or poems or something like that. This one is very, very common, but it is also not one of those cases where either one is fully accepted.
Mm-hmm.
The one that you will see far more often in published edited text is deep-seated with a T.
But deep-seeded sounds like it would make sense, like it's a seed that has been planted deep in your heart of this hatred of fill in the blank.
Right. So deep-seated with a T goes back about 300 years, and it first meant firmly established. This is still a really common meaning. This is the one that is like in deep-seated mistrust. It means, unlikely to be changed. It's ingrained. It's genuine and lasting as a characteristic. But then there is another meaning that is far below the surface. And that's the one that seems to also relate more to planting. But this meaning is usually used in medical contexts. So we'll talk about like a deep-seated inflammation.
Oh, and Dr. Donald Trump can help us with that. We learned about that from the meme that he posted the other day.
So first it had to do with this being firmly established. And then it just became applied more broadly in these ways that to describe something that is firmly established in a literal bodily way. It's a pretty natural extension. But the things get really complicated with the word seed because of other things that the word seed does. So the use of the word seed to have to do with the thing that gets planted or the planting of the thing, those uses of the word seed all go back to Old English. But in the late 1800s, a sports use of seed developed.
Right.
You really know
I
this
think
one, right?
A lot of people know this one, especially since we just went through the Final Four.
The many Final Fours.
The March Madness and all that, yes.
Right. We define this sports use as to rank a contestant relative to others in a tournament on the basis of previous record. And of course, this sometimes, plays out in contexts where the competitors of all ranks would play each other through a tournament series, and you'd seed them to help prevent the top-ranking competitors from meeting in early rounds of the series.
Mm-hmm.
So those competitors, you can think of them as being sprinkled across a wide field.
And is that why we call them seeds?
Yes.
Weird.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
fun.
It's this metaphorical idea of, I don't know, these sports folk being like little seeds that get sprinkled throughout.
Or you could think of intentionally planting this crop away from this crop at the beginning of the planting season so they don't cross-pollinate, which is kind of more like how those brackets oftentimes work. So that they don't meet, you don't have the two top contenders meet in the first round and knock the other one out.
Yeah.
Interesting. You want your top competitors more deep-seated later in the March Madness or what have you.
Right.
But that is not the real term usually. It is not deep-seated. It is deep-seated.
Right. And here's where things also get more complicated. The verb seed with a D means to plant something so it can grow. But this other seeding is ranking someone or something. And it's sort of like you can think of them as being assigned or placed in a seat, for example. You think about how chair in like orchestral music or in performing music, there are chairs that have to do with ranking.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Your first chair, second chair violinist, etc. And so this semantic confusion makes a lot of sense, actually.
So are they related officially? This like the first chair seat and the literal chair that they sit in and saying somebody has been seated or deep-seated? Are those etymologically connected? No.
It's just
cool
a lovely
coincidence.
It's just a cool coincidence.
Cool, confusing coincidence.
So it's more proper in published and edited text to stop saying deep-seated and more saying deep-seated. But both of them have some history.
Yes, but it's the deep-seated with a D is not. I cannot recommend it. It is a mistake.
That is a rarity for you, Emily Brewster.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
So many of the people that love to hate on other people's language are going to be psyched that you said this. They have a deep-seated hatred for people saying things anyway than they're used to hearing it.
Yeah. The thing that we can all breathe a sigh of relief about is that in speech, you cannot tell them apart.
Right.
Deep-seated, right? Like it's only in writing. And, if you're unsure, you can just choose a different way to say it.
And we mentioned earlier that mondegreens are misheard lyrics and that eggcorns, which you could theoretically grow from seed, are what you call misheard, phrases like deep-seated versus deep-seated.
Eggplants are not eggs. You can't see.
That's where eggplants come from. Can you explain why they're called eggcorns, just since we brought it up and it's really fun?
Sure. That is a word that was coined by a linguist named Jeff Pullum. And the eggcorn, it's an example of itself. It's an eggcorn of the word acorn, the thing that falls from an oak tree and that eventually grows into an oak tree with some luck. And some planting, some seeding in the ground.
Because they look like eggs, so you would think
they're the egg that an oak tree hatches from.
Right.
This is the embryonic oak tree. And this is true of eggcorns. They often have something about them that just makes sense to the person who's misusing it. Although, other times they don't. For example, people say it's a dog-eat-dog world.
That is both an eggcorn and a mondegreen, kind of, because I think people must be pulling it from Snoop Dogg, who did say it's a dog-eat-dog world in his song.
It's a dog-eat-dog world.
But he was playing on the phrase, it's a dog-eat-dog world.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that definitely can have an influence on how far developed it gets. Another example is you nip something in the bud versus nip something in the butt.
And that comes from Sir Mix-a-Lot.
I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Which is, no, I'm sorry, it doesn't. But yes, it's funny how much of this has to do with planting. We've been talking about oak trees and acorns and seeds and things like that. And now nip it in the bud, which is literally about pruning your plants.
That's right. Before it actually flowers, right?
Not sexual assault.
Not sexual assault, pinching someone's bum. Don't do that. Don't nip it in the bud unless you have full consent.
Nip the buds because sometimes it encourages the plants to grow better, but don't nip anybody's
buds,
butt.
Not the butts.
Right. And then there are cases where the eggcorn becomes so established that it's considered an accepted usage in the language. For example, buck naked is older, but butt naked is established.
Yes.
And again, it makes sense why you would say that.
Yes. I mean, it makes more sense than the original buck naked. We don't actually know why the buck. It's, I assume it's the animal.
I can think of some reasons, but we won't get into them.
Well, I mean, I guess I would assume more that it's related to buckskin naked, like naked skin.
Is that where it comes from?
That's a theory, not a known
I'm
thing.
asking the dictionary.
Well, and that is a known theory, and it hasn't been proven, but that's a very possible theory for sure.
So we don't know why we started saying buck naked?
No, although it's possible. Another theory is that buck was a euphemism for a person's buttocks.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say another way of saying another word that sounds an awful lot like buck, but that I would get in big trouble on if I said in its full form on the radio.
That's not the kind of phonological shift that develops, Monty.
It sounds phonological to me.
Oh my goodness, no.
What does phonological mean now? I want to know. Sounds like
having to do with sounds, with phonology.
Oh yeah,
phonology. With the sounds.
Not FUN.
No,
the study of fun.
Phonological.
That would be.
Although
amazing.
Phonology is really fun.
Sure is.
Sounds fun.
Phonology.
It does sound fun.
Yeah. Another word that I was thinking of when I was getting ready for this is the word broadcast, because this also has to do with planting. Do you know the original? I mean, you know all about broadcasting. It's what you do. Do you know the original meaning of broadcast?
I think only because of how many years I've known you, Emily Brewster. But it's the scattering of seeds, though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's what we're doing on the radio. We're scattering radio wave seeds all over the 4 counties of Western Massachusetts.
That's right. And it was, originally was doing it by hand, kind of just throwing the seed out there.
We are still doing it by hand. Khalees and I are, at least.
Yes.
You're broadcasting by hand right now?
Yeah, we are. We're cranking up the machine all the time. We have the little gerbil wheel and everything.
And at my house, too, because I don't have enough land to actually do it with. And we're trying to sort of re-nativize the lawn instead of having terrible grass, because lawns are stupid. And so in the seed mix that I got, we did it by hand.
Going old school. I think it's very admirable. Broadcasting in the context of planting, which again was the original use, it's a pretty new word as these things go. Only dates to like 1730s, I think. And then do you want to hazard a guess is when broadcast took on its other meaning. First, it had to do with not necessarily over radio waves, but it was for the wide dissemination of information.
1895.
A little bit older than that, 1830.
Okay.
And it was first used in religious contexts.
That makes sense.
So missionaries, for example, were said to be broadcasting the good news.
Right. Evangelize. But that basically means as well, right? To share the good news.
Yeah.
I'm going to put on my white robe with my red neckerchief, and I'm going to go heal the sick like other doctors do.
And I thought it was me as a doctor.
Sharing the good news.
Yeah.
Is seed older than corn in English? Because corn used to get used for like way more grains than
It was a widely used, right,
Yeah.
it had a much broader application.
Yes.
That also goes back to Old English, and it referred to a grain of a cereal grass, any kind of seed or even berry. And that word goes all the way back to Indo-European, ancient word. And its origin is also the Latin word granum, which is where we get the word grain, has the same origin as the Indo-European word that gave us corn.
Huh.
Well, I'm very happy that we have a deep-seated love of broadcasting.
Seated.
No, we're talking only about seeds today.
No.
It doesn't matter if it's correct or not, but yes, to sum up,
You
it
need
is
more people
seated.
to agree with you to make it correct.
Deep-seated is correct. Deep-seated, not recommended by the word nerd. Very rarely do we say that. And we will continue to broadcast these deep-seated truths to our listening radius here in the 413.
Yes.
And if you have a question, a deep-seated question of what bothers you in the English language, Emily Brewster will answer it for you, but usually not to your satisfaction. This is one of the few instances that I think people will see satisfaction from this. thefab413@nepm.org, and we'll be happy to ask it.
Dig way deep in there and pull it out.
Digging in the dirt.
Sit way back in the seat. Really sit down.
Reach under there. You get an answer, and you get an answer. Everybody's getting answers.
If you're in the Berkshires and you're into books, tomorrow's Fabulous 413 is perfect for your weekend plans.
We'll hear about the Pittsfield Athenaeum's upcoming inaugural book con from organizers Tom Jorgensen and Caroline Villarreal.
And about a fundraiser for the Berkshires chapter of the national nonprofit Drag Story Hour at Wander with Papa DeBubbly.
And Poppy DeBubbly.
Oh, right.
Plus our weekly chat with Congressman for the 2nd District, Jim McGovern. I'm Khalees Smith.
I'm Monty Belmonte. We'll see you tomorrow.